Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm not for apartheid in your definition. This is the one that you gave me. Okay. You said that it was racial domination, and you're talking about national groups in the United States of America. If you're a non-U.S. citizen on any U.S. territory, you don't have the same rights afforded to you as U.S. citizens. So, but that makes sense. It's going to be true in every country. That's not apartheid. That's just being a citizen or not being a citizen. So I'm trying to figure out what is the racial domination part.
The domination is the way that Israelis are treated versus the way that Palestinians are specifically treated. It's
Again, do you
incorrect.
understand that Israeli is not a race?
I understand, but I'm talking about the military occupation that goes over Palestinians.
Sure, if
They
you
are
want to
treated
talk about the
completely
military
differently.
occupation, we could talk about that, but that's not apartheid then. By your definition, by the original definition in South Africa, it's racial domination. This doesn't sound like racial domination. This sounds like an issue with, you can talk about occupation, you could talk about different standards for citizens versus non-citizens in occupied territory, but I don't know what the apartheid part is when the definition that you gave is the racial domination part. Another reason why I know that you use ChatGPT is because if you follow any of the current readings, any Amnesty International, anybody talking about it, they usually don't have that racial domination part as part of their definition because that totally sinks this argument for this region. But you have it in here because you asked
I literally
ChatGPT and
got that
they gave you the
specific
original.
quote
They gave you the original.
from Amnesty International, but you're assuming some other shit. Like, that's weird.
Okay, well, the massive page that Amnesty International, when they write about the domination, the difference between like, it's not racial domination when you're talking about the country of Israel. You're talking about Israel. That's a citizenship. That's a nationality. Yeah. There are Arabs. There are Arab Palestinians that live in Israel that are Israeli citizens. Here's a question: would an Arab Israeli have the same rights as people living in the West Bank who aren't Israeli citizens?
Okay, so I'm gonna continue with a quote specifically that talks about the way, because you have to understand that Israel governs the entire region.
Can I just tell you how
the way that
gross?
Palestinians are being treated versus Israelis.
It's so gross. Okay, I understand that like the need for like some people do red pill and Andrew Tate, and some people want to pretend that they're fucking Palestinian or whatever. But like, why would you have the audacity to come here when you so clearly have no idea what you're talking? Or it's because you think I don't know what I'm talking about. Never mind. I just got it. It all just clicked. I'm sorry. Read me your next quote. Go ahead.
So, this is from another human rights organization, an Israeli one, that basically talks about how roughly 15 million people, about half of them Jews and the other half Palestinians, live between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea under a single rule. Important point, under a single rule. The perception that there are two separate regimes in this country, a democracy on one side of the Green Line within Israeli sovereign borders and a temporary military occupation on the other, is divorced from reality. All of us, Jews and Palestinians alike, live in this area in a binational reality under a single regime. However, not everyone will be permitted to vote in the coming elections, which will determine the government and our lives in the coming years. About half of the population, all the Palestinians who live in this area, whether they are citizens, permanent residents, or subjects,
woman with no previous symptoms.
I'm so sorry. My thing just started playing. Sorry, go ahead.
No problem, are either fully or partially excluded from this decision-making process. One regime governs the entire area and the fate of everyone in it. This regime operates according to a single organizing principle, advancing and cementing the supremacy of one group over another, Jews over another, Palestinians. Under this regime, Jewish citizens have the monopoly on political power.
Okay.
So that's my personal viewpoint on what's going on with it.
Wait, was that your personal viewpoint, or was that a quote from somebody?
That was a quote from B'Tselem, but I would say I agree with that viewpoint as well too.
Okay. Wait, real quick. Can you look at your camera and repeat what you just said without reading that off?
You want me to repeat an entire quote just by looking at the camera?
No, I just want you to give me the gist of it.
So the main gist of it is that Palestinians are not treated the same as Jewish people. They do not have the same voting rights compared to Jewish people.
Oh, as Jewish people. Okay. So are Arab Palestinian Israelis that live in the country of Israel, are they not allowed to vote?
Well, I mean, they still have like certain things that I would say are a little bit different compared. Like, I'm talking about Palestinians versus Israelis specifically, because Palestinians are still governed under the Israeli regime. That's something you have to make important. Like, it's not like there's two different regimes that are there. Like, Palestinians in the West Bank are specifically dealing with the consequences of Israel. Palestinians in Gaza are dealing with a blockade, a siege on Gaza.
Do Palestinian Arabs in Israel, can they vote like Israeli citizens, or?
Yeah, but you have to understand from the perspective that this is the occupier. This is the occupying regime. And these are people that are basically accepting the occupier. People that want to live there as Palestinians are treated completely differently. Unless they fully accept the Israeli regime, that's the only way. But it's not fair because these people are the occupiers.
Gotcha. So are Arab Palestinian Israelis, are they able to vote the same way that Jewish Israelis are able to vote?
I'm not talking about Arab Israelis specifically. I'm talking about the way Palestinians are being treated.
What are Palestinians to you? What does that mean to you?
People that live in the West Bank, people that live in Gaza.
All of them?
That are specifically dealing with military occupation.
So if I move to the West Bank or if I move to Gaza, am I a Palestinian?
People that are Palestinians. There are people that are living in illegal settlements in the West Bank.
What is a Palestinian? What does that mean to you?
People that live in Palestine that were specifically there from before that consider themselves Palestinian. You have to also understand that.
Wait, stop saying you have to understand.
Different ID
I understand
systems.
all of this. I'm asking you a very simple, easy question. What is a Palestinian? What does that mean to you?
What kind of fucking question, bro? There's different ID statements for different Palestinians. There's Palestinians that have specific residencies. There's Palestinians that are considered citizens. There's people that don't have any type of residency or ID card at all. Like, it's very, very discriminatory based on different types of things. And it's very difficult to get any of these types of permits or agreements in the first place.
Okay, I'm going to ask you again, I guess. What is a Palestinian? What does that mean?
What kind of stupid ass questions? What is a Palestinian? People that live in Palestine.
What is Palestine?
The fuck is... Okay, I'm just going to move on to my next point, Brex. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Do you know how gross this is? Holy shit, you're grifting so hard on this whole issue. Do you feel like any shame, or have you ever been to Lebanon before?
Yeah, I grew up there. I lived there most of my life.
Where?
In El Shuf.
Okay, and you don't know what a Palestinian is?
Why are you asking me what a Palestinian is? Do you know what a stupid question that is?
I'm trying to understand. You're from Lebanon. You said you lived there most of your life. You don't know what a Palestinian is.
Palestinians are people that live in Palestine, people that don't reside under an Israeli citizenship.
What is Palestine?
What the f is this guy saying, bruh? Am I talking to a parrot? Like Destiny, bro. What the fuck are you saying, bruh? What is Palestine? Is that your serious question towards me?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so... Beyond the legal system, Palestinians also face.
Wait, I'm just curious. Can you tell me what do you think Palestine is?
Oh my God. Palestine is the territory from the river to the sea, the Jordan River, the Mediterranean Sea, where people lived originally before 1948, where it became certain parts became occupied Palestine.
Okay, so all of that is Palestine. So then wouldn't the Arab Palestinians in Israel be Palestinians then?
Well, they're in occupied Palestine, which is essentially called Israel.
Are those people able to vote like the Jewish Israeli citizens?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the Palestinians who are still being discriminated against and that the military occupation directly applies to them. I'm not talking about people that are in Israel.
So what's the difference?
Moroccan Israelis.
So then what's the difference?
From other areas as well.
What's the difference between Palestinians in the West Bank and Palestinians that live in Israel?
Thank you. Finally, not a fucking dumbass question, bruh. So, there's many different things that you could talk about. For example, freedom of movement. Palestinians are subjected to hundreds of military checkpoints across the West Bank, curfews, and the Apartheid wall, which restricts access to schools, hospitals, and workplaces.
No, I'm asking you, what's the difference between Palestinians in the West Bank and Palestinians in Israel?
The way that they are treated by the military occupation.
Wait. So
that is the complete difference.
So Palestinians in Israel have more rights than Palestinians in the West Bank?
Yes, according to Israeli law.
Okay.
The way they are treated by Israel.
I agree. What you've just described then is not apartheid, because I just gave you the exact same racial group. One is a citizen and one isn't, and they're being treated differently on the basis of their citizenship. But your definition of apartheid said racial domination.
Yeah, I'm talking about the ones that are being discriminated against in Palestine.
But it sounds like it's not because they're of their race, it's because they're not citizens.
Yeah, people that don't support the Zionist regime are going to be treated that way. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, so for you, apartheid is when no citizenship then? Is that just to be clear?
No, apartheid is the unfair treatment of civilians in a specific area that they occupy.
That wasn't the definition that you gave me.
Because look at the way Palestinians are treated.
Okay, wait, scroll back up. Was racial? Can you reread me the racial domination part of your apartheid definition?
Yeah. So, a system of domination by one racial group over another and systemically oppressing them.
Okay.
Which they are doing. They are systematically oppressing them.
But it sounds like they're not oppressing a racial group. They're oppressing a group of non-citizens who happen to majorly be of a certain race. But that same racial group
But they still occupy that area. They're in control of that area.
If you want to say they occupied, I'm not disagreeing with you there. Sure. Yeah. And if you want to say the treatment is even unfair or is, it's an occupation that's gone on for way too long or whatever, that could be true as well. Sure. But it doesn't sound like it matches your definition of apartheid.
No, it definitely is apartheid.
Oh.
Palestinians are literally being treated under military law, bruh.
Is that apartheid? Military law is apartheid?
Towards a specific racial group, yes.
It's not
towards
Palestinians. Wait, so are the Palestinians in Israel subjected to military law?
No, because they're not a part of that regime. They're a part of the Zionist regime.
Yeah, so it's not a racial thing. It's a nationality thing. It's like, are you a citizen or not?
Yeah, but that's still...
That's
like
still
you're
apartheid?
deflecting from the original statement, but it's still wrong. Like you're justifying something that isn't correct.
Just to be clear, I'm not justifying shit. I'm just trying to get your definitions right. I never said that it was a good thing, it was okay, it was morally acceptable. I've never said that. I'm just saying that it doesn't match the definition of apartheid.
But you're sitting here focusing on the technicalities when I'm telling you about the way that Palestinians are being treated inhumanely in comparison to Israelis.
Then why not
and you're
say
sitting
that?
here looking at the technicalities of a
because
word.
you're using it incredibly
disingenuous
because you're
tactic.
using a technical word. Why use the technical word? Why not just focus on the unfair treatment or the lack of humanity or the lack of any long-term resolution or the lack of material access to things like water or food or whatever? Why are you focusing on apartheid? Why not just have the conversation about the actual conditions instead of using a technical word and then getting mad when people want to have a technical conversation about it?
Because you're specifically focusing on the word and you're not looking at any of the points
word.
that I'm making because you can't deny them. You're specifically just looking at that word.
Denying a point is not the same as denying your argument. For instance, if I say you're stupid and I say because the sky is blue, we all agree the sky is blue, but that doesn't mean you're stupid, right? That just because I agree with your underlying points doesn't mean they support the argument. If you want to say that the conditions are bad or that there's an occupation or there needs to be a resolution, that's fine. But you gave a definition of apartheid that included in it racial domination, but the exact same racial group seems to have incredibly different treatments depending on if they live in Israel as a citizen or not in Israel.